Hey everybody, today I want to talk about alcohol and the quiet contract we make with it. But first, I want to begin with this isn't about judgment, but more so about recognition. And for those of you who know me, well, you know how much I love my Barolo or my pint of Guinness down at the pub, and of course, a shot of whiskey with a cigar sitting at the fire pit. And I speak about the subject of alcohol with, I don't know, probably 50 years experience. Now, most people don't start drinking because they want to lose control, or they want to damage their health, or they want to harm their relationships. Of course not. They start they start drinking or tasting alcohol because at some point alcohol works. Ever have that feeling? It softens the edge of a long day. It fills the empty hours on a Saturday afternoon. It makes conversation easier. It makes laughter louder. And for some people, it makes the silence more tolerable. And even after all that, and for a short while, it feels like it's a solution. But I'm telling you, alcohol is not the solution. The way I see it, it's a trade. And, like so many trades, the cost is not obvious at first. So, why do we drink? Well, everybody has their reasons, but I don't think there is a single reason why. Drinking sits at the intersection of, biology, psychology, environment, social elements. From a biological perspective, we all know that alcohol is a stimulant. It stimulates the brain's reward system. It increases dopamine and it dampens your stress signals. We all say, Jesus, I need a drink after that. And your brain learns quickly. It learns that, wow, this feels better. I think I'm going to do it again. From, psychology speaking, alcohol becomes the coping tool. It, numbs your anxiety. It quiets those intrusive thoughts. It reduces self-consciousness. And, temporarily, I guess, it lifts that low mood. I've seen it. I've seen everybody have that. And over time, drinking becomes tied to a routine. Whether it's every Tuesday after work, whether it's during meals, whether it's watching your favorite sporting event, it stops being a choice and it becomes part of the reflex or a habit. And, we've all been socially conditioned to think that way. Many of us are taught subtly, or even directly, that drinking is how we relax. We celebrate, we connect with friends. Or for some of us, I guess, we even survive adulthood, with a good drink or a night out with the boys. So no, people don't need alcohol, but the brain can begin to believe it does. And that's what gets us all. So let's discuss craving versus need. What many people describe as needing a drink is actually, well, I guess it's actually a combination of conditioned cues. For instance, you're walking past the fridge and there's beer in it. You walk past the wine cellar. Or you're finished work and the boys are going out. Or you're just feeling bored. Or maybe it's those emotional triggers. Maybe it's stress. Maybe it's loneliness. Maybe it's even frustration. The neurochemical expectation is your brain is anticipating relief because you've taught it such a habit. And believe me, I've had those cravings, and they're powerful, but it's not permanent. It rises, it peaks, and then it falls if you have the willpower. And it falls often within minutes if not acted upon. But when reinforced daily, it feels constant. I don't know, drinking is perhaps a method of escape. For me, I've had a lot, it used to let me drift away into another world, even if it was just for a few minutes or half an hour or whatever. And this is at the heart of our habitual drinking. Alcohol is not just about pleasure. I love the taste, but it's really about escape. Whether you're escaping from boredom or escaping from some sort of emotional discomfort or escaping from dissatisfaction in your job or in your relationship, or for some of us sometimes it's escaping from our own thoughts. Yeah. It becomes a way to tolerate a life that feels flat or repetitive or, dare I say it, unfulfilling. But here's the paradox: alcohol does not remove those things that you're trying to escape. It simply delays them and often makes them feel heavier when they come back. Yeah, let that one sink in. There's an emotional cost to alcohol, and it can initially reduce feelings like anxiety or like stress or sadness. But over time it disrupts sleep quality. Trust me, I know. It increases baseline anxiety. For some, I don't have anxiety, but it lowers the mood stability, that's for sure. It reduces your motivation and especially reduces your energy. For some of it, for some of us, it creates a cycle of guilt or even self-questioning. It's a stimulant, but too much makes it a depressant. And this is why so many people wake up asking, why do I do this to myself? And every time you wake up with that headache, you say, I'm going to stop. That's not a failure of character. It's a learned loop. We just repeat it. In relationships, alcohol often plays hidden roles. It becomes a buffer against any unresolved conflict. It replaces meaningful communication. And, I'm told it creates temporary closeness while you're avoiding the real intimacy. It can amplify irritability. Have you ever seen a mean drunk? It can amplify distance or emotional unpredictability. Sometimes both partners drink to cope with the same dissatisfaction, but then they never address it directly. So alcohol covers all that. And I know because recently, like I mentioned before, I gave up alcohol for 32 days. The first few days without alcohol were extremely difficult. Day 3, it's not trivial. It is significant. What you experience, like walking past the wine cellar or watching your guys go into the bar. It's that feeling, that pull. That's the habit loop, and it's still firing. Your brain is expecting its usual reward. This happens. It's a phase, and it often includes restlessness or boredom or feeling more intense. I guess a sense that time moves slower. Thoughts like, well, what if I do this instead? This is not because your life is more boring. It's because alcohol was used to compress and blur that time. And it makes it feel easier to pass. Now you're experiencing time and your thoughts, well, they're unfiltered. It I don't know, it was a time for a critical reframe maybe. Drinking does not make life less boring. it makes you less aware of the boredom. And over time, it reduces your ability to change anything, to change the very things that make you feel empty. Because again, you just get on that hamster wheel. It's a habit. What comes next? Well, if alcohol has been filling, space in your life, removing it creates a gap. And that gap needs to be addressed. Not ignored, but addressed. Real change involves identifying what you're escaping. Or, even rebuilding routines that don't revolve around drinking. Have you gone to the bar and just said, yeah, give me a Coke? You can still have the social atmosphere. You're developing a tolerance for discomfort without numbing that discomfort. Creating moments of engagement, not just distraction. This is not easy, and it's not quick, but it is meaningful. And you'll see, trust me, I've done it. I've done it a couple times. To those in this room who are watching, if you drink, don't ask yourself, how much do I drink? Ask yourself, what role does alcohol play in my life? For me, I like the taste. If you feel stuck, don't ask, why can't I stop? Ask yourself, what am I using alcohol to manage? If you're in a relationship affected by drinking, don't ask who's at fault. Another question would be, why are we avoiding, or what are we avoiding? Why are you avoiding me, or what subject are you avoiding? The way I see it, alcohol often begins as a companion, but over time, it can quickly become something that narrows your life instead of expanding it. Just a personal observation. And stopping, even for 3 days. It's not about just removing a substance. It's more like, I don't know, maybe it's more about beginning to see clarity. And clarity, while uncomfortable at first, that's where change becomes possible. So, I guess if you're on day 3, day 53, day 103, or day 1, you're not just not drinking. You're interrupting a pattern that your brain has practiced for so long. And believe me, your brain will thank you. That matters more than it feels right now. I'm telling you. Stay strong. And if I can do it, anybody can. Anyway, I'm the Bearded Bombler, or I'm trying to become the Bearded Bombler again. Hope you enjoyed this. If you have comments, give me a thumbs up, send me a DM. But I hope you understood everything I said. I'm out.